Hello. It's saying I'm live. Hi. Shuffle, shuffle. Move around a little bit. You can see I've got my glasses on today. And the other day, people were doing comments on a live, and I had to keep squinting to read them. So I've got my glasses, but I wasn't sure whether they would just reflect the lights. So it's all a little bit of an experiment. Okay, so yes, sorry. The other day, the microphone stopped a little bit. Is it picking up? Yeah, I can see it moving a little bit. Maybe I need to be closer. Anyway, hi to anybody that joins me much later after the live is done, because there's nobody here right this second. I thought I normally label this just a Q&A and that I'll show up as a Q&A, but I also thought I normally have something in mind that I'll share with you about sort of behind the scenes. And one of the things was about support from other YouTube channels and reactors, and just generally the support that happens behind the scenes that you may not be aware of. You've probably heard me mention different names, but you may not know that we're communicating in the background. Hi, Carol. I was just going to give people a little bit of an insight as to what's happening behind the scenes between different reactors, because when I was talking to Jesse from Bell Development this week, he was saying he's part of a group of reactors and they all kind of communicate and talk to each other. And I don't feel like I'm part of a huge group, but because I've interviewed some people are checking on me and asking. And then when it was New Year, I was reaching out to everybody that I'd interviewed and I was letting them know, thank you again for the interview, and this is the impact it had on my channel. And some of them have been wanting to reach out when I've said I've got particular questions or problems. For example, Tone Deaf Music. I was saying in one of my posts that I was struggling with the copyright side of things, and he wrote a DM to me in via Instagram and was telling me everything that I needed to do with copyright and what to expect. And then there was a couple of times, and there was a couple of, sorry, I was just half looking at Carol's comments, but I'll just finish this about the behind the scenes stuff and then I'll get to the comments. But he was saying, what was I saying? He was saying about copyright, and he gave me instructions on how to do that. Oh, I've just said that. And then one of the times I was crying on a video and I was saying that I was just having a tough day. And again, he's somebody that reached out. So there are, within the reaction world, people are saying encouraging things, and I'm always chatting via the DMs to Jess from Film Finds, who's almost at the 1,000 subscribers, and I don't know if that's a big goal of hers, but she's so close, and I keep looking and wondering what she's going to do. And I keep speaking to her about, is there anything that we can do collaboration wise? Um, I don't know. I just really enjoyed chatting to her, and I was thinking she's got a body of knowledge that I'd love to, I don't know, ask questions and play and explore about the film side of things. So yes, so Carol was saying lots of positive support. Yes, I don't think people talk about this with YouTube channel. I think sometimes it can be seen as a little bit more clinical, that you do a collaboration, then you separate, and then you do an interview, and then you never hear from them again. And that's not been my experience. People are generally aware of certainly new channels coming up, and they're encouraging about that. And as I say, you're just generally aware, and there seems to be encouragement. So I thought that you should know that, because I think I've spoken about you guys in the comments and the support and encouraging, then different messages in the comment section, but also privately people message me and say, I hope you're okay and keep going. And I wanted you to know that other YouTube channels treat each other that way too. Now, obviously, they're going to have their own groups that they are tighter with. Um, but I've certainly found people be very kind to me. I think I might have mentioned before that some people had said no to the interviews. I'm not going to read too much into that. I think that it's a numbers game of how many people I ask. And also some people are busy and different things. But anyway, how are you, Carol? Somebody else popped in and then they disappeared. It's awful. I can now see crystal clear who's here and who's here and then disappears. It's kind of better when it's fuzzier and I can't see it so well. So anyway, Carol was saying one of the points that she made is that why so many of them react to the same artists? I think you can get into a little bit of a bubble because I know Jesse was saying that there's an overlap with the people that he reacts to and the group of reactors that he's in touch with. And for me, every time I was interviewing somebody, they would say, "Oh yes, there's this group." And so my curiosity was piqued and I thought, well, if they really like I think one of the first ones was Nicoletta and she was saying about Nightwish, if I got the right name, Nightwish. And she was raving about them, and I thought, "Okay, I'll go and find out about them." And then, as I say, Jesse was mentioning this other group, and that's on my list to check too, and then other people in the comments. So, I think it's not always a deliberate decision. I know when I covered and did a reaction to the Avishek, Creep song, Creep cover, that was something that I accidentally fell on. And I heard I literally heard about the first 2 or 3 notes and thought, "No, no, 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 stop, I'm gonna put the camera on and do that," but I was still really new at the reaction videos at that point. But generally, it's I have been trying to keep my eyes and ears open about new people, but I've got a long list now of people saying, "Could you do a reaction to this, and can you do a reaction to that?" But clearly, it's still kind of in a bubble, isn't it? So Carol was just giving me an update. So she's saying she's tired but good. Okay. I must admit, we were playing I don't normally play board games, and we were just playing a board game in the hall. My daughter's 11, with my husband and my daughter. I don't normally play board games, but I think my husband's a cheat because he just put the heating on, his extra radiator on in that room, and I was boiling, and I was like, "Gosh, I'm getting really tired. I'm feeling really hot," and I had to open the front door, and then I realized he'd put the radiator on. So yes, I'm feeling a little bit tired, but I think it's because my husband was trying to melt me in the other room as he was cheating at playing the board game. So there you go. So it kind of ties into your comment. I took a little bit of time to work round to it, didn't it? But yes, I love the Avi video too. And then when I found out a little bit more later about the words, but I did the reaction completely blind. I didn't really know. I knew of the song Creep, but I didn't stop and think. As I was listening, I was so blown away by the different harmonies and the different sounds. I wasn't stopping and listening to the words. So I went back another time and found out more about the words. And then they were saying that Avi was in the song Creep was saying kind of all these negative things about himself. And then the song that she was singing, the way people summarized it was, "No, there's a purpose and there's a reason for you. There's something positive." So it was contrasting those 2 together, which I thought was really good. But actually, when she explained the song, she was talking about it's something about being a shepherd. And so it's like, you've got work to do. You have a role. It's important. You've got work to do. And I thought, well, it is kind of on the positive side, but it's a slightly different message, isn't it? It's more about responsibility. So I thought that was interesting too. But anyway, I geeked out and went down the rabbit hole of what the different words meant. So, are there any other questions? I can say behind the scenes, I don't have any juicy gossip for you, I'm afraid. It's been really fun to do the interview and turn that around with Jessie. Hi, Beth. As I say, it was really fun to do the interview. I did the interview on Wednesday night, and we just turned it around really quickly so that I could have some content. And Jesse was saying he would be there in the comments. I've never thought of doing a premiere, and I don't think I'd have had the courage to ask other people that I've interviewed to do the interview and be there in the comments. But he suggested it, and it was really. And again, this is one of those things about some people, other channels supporting you, and and it wasn't something that I'd have asked. I'd have felt quite self-conscious about asking for more from him because he was already doing an interview. But um, it was very kind of him to do that. I don't know what I'm going to do in the future. I think when I'm going to ask people for interviews, just I can't see me being really direct and saying, "Hey, and will you be there in the comments and chat to people too?" I think I'm gonna hold back on that. Not sure I'm ready to push people to do that. I'm so grateful that they let me interview them. So anyway, Beth is saying hi. Carol saying hi. And Carol's a little bit behind on the viewing, but no problem. Beth was saying she thought it went pretty well. The chat was fun. The interview was great. Thank you. Yeah, I thought it was good. Uh, Again, sort of behind the scenes information. I'm keeping track of. You can keep track of the views that you have, but I'm particularly interested in the number of hours of viewing that I'm getting, and that and everybody being there and watching that interview really bumped my hours up. So now for the channel, since I started this experiment, I've just gone over the 3,000 hours, and the monetization is um, the first step of the monetization is over 3,000 hours, and then the second step is the 4,000 hours. Now, my focus was on, is this possible for me to have some sort of creator career? And when I started doing the YouTube channel, it was, is it possible for me to hit record? Is it possible for me to find my people that I want to hang out with? And it's kind of evolving in each of those steps. But obviously, I am aware of the different steps for YouTube. Anyway, Tone Deaf was saying, congrats. Were your ears burning? I was just talking about you and about behind the scenes support, and that you'd sent me a long message on Instagram saying, this is how you deal with copyright. Press this button, say this, and do this. And so I did actually challenge all of the videos that had said about copyright. Um, I didn't do it straight away because I needed my thinking brain, and I think when you replied to me, I'd been having a bit of a tough day. But I was just saying to people that there are groups of people who have YouTube channel that are wishing the best for other channels. It isn't. I'm sure there's cutthroat people competing, um, but when I see other people, there is support. There's a little bit of friendly competition about, oh, they're trying something new. Maybe I should try something new too. So I don't think we talk about that enough. I think we do the interviews, and it's not so clear cut to other people that we're actually wanting to collaborate and then communicating behind the scenes too, and encouraging each other. So Carol was saying, all the interviews I've seen so far have been really good. I love your curiosity. Do I keep saying the word curiosity? I have a feeling when I'm interviewing, I think I say, "I'm curious about this," or "I'm curious about," and I'm not sure if it's one of those words that I overuse, so you'll have to let me know. So Beth was saying, "Glad you're getting monetized." As I say, it's the step 1. It's not the one where you get money for adverts or anything. It's the step 1 of, I think you're allowed gifts, some donations and different things like that. But it's a milestone. It's a milestone, and it's something that I was aware of before. So it's interesting to see, because I know when I first started, I think some of you came with that very first interview when I was talking about reaction videos. I think I had about 150 subscribers at that point. I mean, the idea of having 1,000 subscribers, which I'm not yet at, but close-ish to, the idea of having 1,000 subscribers and 3,000 or 4,000 watch hours was just a nonsense. Um, so yeah, so that was really good. Anyway, so Tone Deaf was saying, here to help anyone. It's an interesting one though, because I know obviously I know that I'm a smaller channel than a lot of the people doing the reaction videos. So it does feel sort of that imbalance of power in terms of I'm asking people for help, and I don't really want to make a nuisance of myself. So, and Carol's just saying hi. Just watched your Oliver Anthony video this morning. I was thinking of you too today. Uh, this is for Tone Deaf, in that I haven't watched that Halftime. Is it Kendrick? Is that the name? I don't think I know any of his songs, and I haven't watched the halftime, but I did watch somebody's summary or interpretation of what some of the key themes was, and I keep meaning to watch the whole halftime performance and then move on, but unfortunately, I'm just getting a long list, and I'm not getting round to catching up on all the reaction videos because I'm trying to watch the original first. Ah, damn it, it's all good fun. Anyway, I did want to ask, I don't know whether he's gonna disappear again soon. I was gonna ask Tone Deaf about whether I think he's used an app and I can't remember the name. It begins with an S, and he used it for his last live where you can have it on YouTube and Facebook at the same time. And there's another one, I think it's called Riverside, and I was investigating them today. So I wonder, has he had? Does anybody know? Streamlabs, is it? I'm getting I'm getting mixed up with my S's. I've got one app called Squadcast, which I know about, but it might be Streamlabs. That might be right. But yeah, it's a free app, but I think if you want multiple streams, but I'm pretty sure he set it up and it was just him and also the screen that he was sharing. But we were talking about you can have up to 10 people on, which sounds wild to me. I can't imagine having 10 people and the responsibility of all that tech working. So he's saying, turned out he's saying, I just schedule things now, but I actually just formatted my OBS. Okay, so you're pushing yourself on now. I've got to try something new. But I was thinking I might try. I know that I've got both of these apps downloaded and I've had a little look inside of them. But I think what I need to do is just play and set it up for Facebook and just rather than being my Sunday night, I think I need to do a middle of the week, see on Facebook whether I can get the app working. Because on Facebook, it whizzes past. It's there and then it's gone. So anyway. Okay, hang on. So people are saying Carol says a lot of reactors use Streamlabs, and then okay, however, StreamYard is what you're speaking on. Yeah, I think it's StreamYard. I don't think I know Streamlabs. StreamYard, I've got, but there was another one called Riverside or something like that. It's written down somewhere else. And the thing is, the main difference I saw was that with Riverside, there's some AI stuff, and with the river, I think it's Riverside, they also the editings within there is by text so that I can just cross out the line rather than any fancy editing. I find it much easier to do the editing by editing the text and just highlighting or crossing out a line. Ah, dear me. So people are chatting to themselves and they're not asking me any questions. Do you have any questions? Can you see? I've got my glasses on today so that I can actually read your comments. I wasn't sure if the lights would be so fiercely reflected in the glasses that you wouldn't be able to see my eyes. Are you still Carol says, "Are you still writing notes on bits of paper?" I was like, guilty. I'm I'm trying not to. I'm trying not to. I've got a good excuse. Do you want to hear a good excuse? The good excuse is it's just been half term. I started doing an Excel sheet of all the different songs and groups that people have said, please do a reaction to this. Started doing an Excel sheet, but we've just had half term week, so my daughter's been home, so everything's been chaotic. So bits of paper. And I can't even show you. There's a pile that's incredibly dodgy falling over that's in front of me. So yeah, I'm still doing bits of paper. But what I typically do is I have somebody during term time, I have somebody come round and she spends 2 hours with me and we go through my calendar and anything that requires that concentration or replying to people or appointments and phone calls and things like that, she helps me and goes through that with me because it really helps me to sort of body double but also if I start to get a little bit overwhelmed reading something, 'cause sometimes I have the brain fog going on, she just calms me down and says, "Okay, let's work the way through this." So, kind of a good excuse. I've got bad habits. I like paper. I like pen and paper, and that's the way I work. So, anyway, so let me just I think is working. Just checking the mouse is working. Where are we going? Where are we going? So Carol busted me because she knows I'm she knows I do pen and paper. This is so Tone Deaf says, "What are you going to do when you hit 1,000 subs?" Well, I don't know whether you know Jess from Film Finds. She was my very, very, very first person who said yes to doing an interview. And she's about 3 subscribers ahead of me. So she is going to be hitting 1,000 subscribers, hopefully, like any second now. And I've been watching that. And I've been thinking, this is something fun we can do. Yes, I can do a live. The only trouble is that lately I've gained a couple of subscribers and then I've lost a couple. So I don't want to celebrate too soon for the 1,000 subscribers. But yeah, I gonna have to. I don't know. I have to do something. But if you've got any ideas, say so. Yeah, any ideas? But again, I was kind of sneakily thinking I don't know. Yeah, part of it was I'll do something. I'll try and call Jess and see whether she can do something fun. We've been talking about what can we do that's fun. Also, I've just been looking at I was watching another artist. He does he's an artist as in he does painting and murals and different things like that called 1000 and he's been doing some challenges with other artists with other YouTube channels. And I was thinking, "Oh, what can we do?" Because I love the interviews. Um, and I've seen a few people do things, and I know Tone Deaf you do the poetry, and I saw Fana Music did a song with AI, and I know Nicoletta does the harmonies and the singing. And I thought, I can't do any of those things. This is me just being ideas girl. I can't do any of those things, but I did wonder whether it would be fun if we kind of had some sort of challenge. But you maybe you guys have to do that all amongst yourself. But I was thinking, wouldn't that be fun if we tried to do the things that the other person does? But I can't even play an instrument. I have a banjo here, but I can't remember whether I play it like that or whether I play it like that. That's how bad I am at playing the banjo. Anyway, there you go. So Beth says, "How are you viewing your metrics for your channel?" So this is one of the things I think that I just mentioned on the short daily update that I did. I've been looking at different apps. At the moment, YouTube has a studio and I can look at that, but it's not working for me. I can see the subscribers, I can see the hours, I can see the views, but it's harder to see. I want to be able to see the name of the video and and particularly I want to know about how many comments have been. Um, that's interesting to me about the comments side of things. And I think, Beth, I think I need to what's the word? What's the word when you kind of code something? I think I need to sort of code the videos. Whichever system I do, I need to be able to code and group them so that I can see which group of content. Because originally I was thinking, oh, yeah, I get most of my new people from the reaction videos. And yet that wasn't true when I was looking at the data today. So I need to look. So Carol was saying you may need an entire wall of corkboard and pins. Yeah, I've actually got magnetic boards and then magnetic white strip. And it's almost like I first had the system and I got the idea from like the control tower for aviation. And so because when I was managing the interviews, when I would reach out to people, I'd put their name on a strip and then I'd move the strip when they replied, and then I'd move it into, okay, we've got it booked now, and moved it, kept moving it around. So I have a system, I just don't really use it very much at the moment. The people saying hello to themselves, each other, yeah. And then Tone Deaf was saying you can apply for partnership though as soon as you hit the 1,000. I think I need 4,000 watch hours, and I don't have that. The partnership. And then he's also saying you may get better pushes as well by YouTube. Yeah, I don't. As I say, I don't know. I really don't know. The weirdest thing is I'm here on this video and I say to you about the cartoons that I don't have a plan, and then I say to you about the videos that I'm figuring this out as I go. I wasn't sure who my people would be. I just didn't know a lot of this. And I think some of you think I'm porcupine sometimes and that I have more of a plan than I do. Um All I know at the moment is that I'm much preferring this experiment to what I did before. This is much more enjoyable, where aiming to find people that I enjoy talking to, and I enjoy, when I do the interviews, I'm I- if there was no more money coming from the YouTube channel, but I got to do the interviews every week, that would be really great for me. I'm just incredibly nosy about other people and creating, and especially when I get to ask the really nosy questions about, who helped them, what happened and what's that inner chatter in their mind. I love all of that. Love all of that. So that's easy to go forward, but I don't know, and I know that I enjoy writing the books. And I think what I feel about the books is that I've got a lot to learn still about that, so I can't point to that and say, "That's my money maker." That's still something more to learn about. So, yeah, we'll figure it out. It might just take a little bit longer than I thought originally. Have you ever considered asking people you have interviewed for a personal quote and doing a comic for it? It could play to your strength. Excuse me, I've got a tickly nose. No, I did do some cartoons for Disco Doc, was it? Um, the real Disco Doc, I think he said, Carl. And he really liked the cartoons, and he was saying, "Will you do some based on his?" And he was saying he would share them on Discord. I'm not sure if he ever did. This is a little while ago now. This was when it was all very secret. And the trouble is that with the cartoons, I'm not interpreting. Very often I'm deliberately misunderstanding what somebody's saying because I think it's funny, and I like the playing with words and stuff. So I don't know if people are happy to do that. I think I did one for you, didn't I, Tone Deaf? I did one just out of my own. You shared a poem, and then I shared a cartoon, um, but it wasn't a cartoon that depicted your poem or had the sentiment of your poem. It was me going off in another direction. So I felt a little bit strange about that. I just wanted you to know that your creativity was inspiring me to go and think about things, and yeah. But yeah, maybe I could do that. I don't really know. Maybe you guys can help me. I don't really know how to fit the whole cartoons into things. I feel like I talk about it too much. It's something I find fun, and um I mean, pretty much every day, if I'm watching YouTube or hearing something, I either see a particular image, like, so say for example, I hear somebody talk about spirals or thunderstorms, and I might quickly jot that down in the drawing app. It's because that's an iconic image, isn't it? That's like a spiral shape or a thunderstorm. I I don't finish the drawing then. I just have that idea, and then later there's some words, and I have that idea. But I do that for fun. I do that for play and for my own self expression. And when I look back, there seems to be themes going on, and I find that interesting. But I don't know. I don't know how much. So yeah, again, if you have ideas for how things all fit together. So yeah, maybe so Carol was saying, oh, what am I reading? So Carol was saying, so maybe you two interviews are your strength. I really enjoy them. Thank you. I really like I like doing them too. The funny thing is that as I was younger, so I can remember in my 20s and 30s, people saying, "Oh, that's a Joanne question. Oh, she's asking those questions again." Like people sort of made fun of me, and I was like, "Well, aren't you curious about things like that?" Mm, I remember people moving to live in different countries, and they say, "Yeah, I moved," and I go, "No, no, no, that's not enough information. You don't wake up one day and move. There's there's something is happening," and they were saying, "No, I just woke up and moved." It's like, "I don't believe you." So so as I say, I was criticized for that. So it's interesting now that doing these interviews, I just tell people that I'm nosy and I really wanna know. There's certain things that I'm curious, have you found it as hard to push your create stuff and share your work as I find it hard? So that's what I wanna know. Anyway, Tone Deaf was saying, but ask them for a quote and you draw from what they give, then it's collaboration. I think one of the things that, as I was just sort of scanning the comments, the word collaboration jumped out at me is that I think I was concerned that they would see it um, as I say, sort of me interpreting what they'd said. If we can see it as play and collaboration, that would be fun. I think that would be fun. Yeah. And Carol saying, "You're a poet, that's terrific. Any available to the public? Go on, push him." Oh, dear me. I think he has shared some on I think on his community post. I think he might have shared something, but he is working on that. But I say when I'm talking to you, when I interview people, you hear them say, "Oh yes, I'm doing these reaction videos and I also do this, and I'm doing and I also do this." To me, it's fascinating. Um, but I can understand, for a lot of them, their daily business is the reaction videos. So I'm not in that world, you know. As I say, I was talking to Jesse, and he said, "Oh, I'm doing 8 to 12 videos," and I think I kind of in my own head jumped in and thought, "Oh, 8 to 12 videos a week," and then he said, "A day." I was like, "I'm not doing 8 to 12 videos a day." Oh, dear me. So, but yeah, I need to remember that word collaboration because I think when you hear the word collaboration, you don't think you you think of each person doing their own talents and adding their own thing to something rather than building one thing. I don't know whether that's right. In my head, the YouTube collaborations, people do things in their own style and their own way, but they have that starting point. Yeah. So, Beth, why not watch a music video and draw some cartoons based on that, then edit the song and cartoons? Oh my goodness, Beth. Beth, you and your you and your ideas about my tech capabilities. Yeah, and funnily enough, I experimented with drawing the cartoons and having the camera over that, and I've experimented with having it as can I do it so that it's 4 times the speed? So that was all new for me. That was last week, wasn't it, I think? But so you're saying not why not watch a music video and draw some cartoons based on that, then edit the song and cartoons together into a video with you explaining the cartoons as you play each bit of the song. Yes, now that's interesting because typically when I do a reaction video, I don't interrupt the song. I kind of it's a bit deer in the headlights, and then I'm just taking in all that information and watching the song. But I was thinking about something like this, and as I was thinking about it, I was thinking I'll need to interrupt more. So that would be me trying something very different. And it's clearly not a reaction because I would have heard it first and then do something later. So yeah. Yeah. I'm just mentally thinking that through, Beth, of what skills do I have and what do I not have. But For me, my Friday video is kind of having a bit of a play and making myself try things with the editing and different things like that. So, also, I've noticed there's a few songs that are up on YouTube which don't have videos. And I thought, "Oh, I wonder whether it'd just be too confusing to do the cartoons and to be talking about something else, or whether I can almost draw cartoons as part of the video for that song. I need to make it really clear about what I think the interpretation and everything would just be too foggy. I don't know. But we're all looking for different ideas, aren't we? But I was quite impressed with myself that I was able to draw and to film over my shoulder with me drawing, and then managed to figure out how to get that from my phone to the computer and then 4 times the speed. So that was great. And I got honestly, if you knew how many tabs I have open at the moment, and all of them are ideas for cartoons, more so than the videos. So, but I'm kind of holding off because I want to film me drawing them. I think on Instagram, I haven't really connected what I do on YouTube to Instagram. I tend to keep just the cartoons there. But I think over there, people will enjoy the sped up cartoon drawing. Yeah. And Beth says I really enjoyed that drawing video. Yeah. Did you feel that I should be explaining it? I think that's the thing is that I think last time I did that and I added some music and I like I say, I sort of let out a sigh of relief about whew, was able to do that. But earlier, I think several months ago, I've done cartoon images and actually chatted over the top. But I think it was a slower version. So so yeah, leave it with the music. I'm asking you, leave it with the music or do some commentary. So there you are. Any questions for you? Which song was the drawing video? I'm behind. The song that I used was just a free song that was available in YouTube. But Carol, what I was saying is that maybe there's a couple of artists that have songs that I was wondering about reacting to, but they don't have a video. And I thought, I wonder whether I could kind of make a video. I don't know, crazy thoughts. And then Beth is saying, I think it would have helped to do a voiceover. See, this is the thing. I think in the cartoons, I think I could explain them more, but if I'm doing I think this is a different thing, isn't it? If I was just doing the cartoons, I could do a voiceover. That I can imagine would work if I explain that. How I work that with listening to a song and doing a reaction, because I really need to highlight that it's these words and my mind has gone off in another direction. I'm not interpreting the song because I do worry that some people, the fans of that particular group, will say, "No, you misunderstood. The song's not about that at all." But yeah, I'm kind of playing and doing different things like that. I'm so pleased I can actually read your comments without because I think last week I had to keep moving the laptop and then I accidentally cut the microphone off. And I also have 2 different light sources today. Get me fancy pants, but there you go. So, yeah, I mean, if you have ideas, that's great. So, Carol's saying, "Making a video with your cartoons isn't a crazy idea. It's probably just a scary idea for you." Yeah. I know that I did it's easy for me to spend 10 minutes drawing. That's easy peasy. And then I did it at 4 times the speed, so it's about the 2.5 minutes. And I was, there were songs that were around that 2.5 minute, but as I say, um, it wasn't just one cartoon. It was multiple cartoons and going off in different directions. Beth is Beth Beth is saying do a reaction video first. I think what she's saying is, whoa, slow down. Let's just do one thing. Do a reaction video first, then follow it up with drawings video of the track you've reacted to. Okay, so you're thinking maybe if I do two video, just completely keep it separate. I could do a part one and part two, but I can mention in part one, I can say I'm going to be doing cartoons, but I'm keeping it separate because there'll be a commentary in that. I think that's a good idea. I think I need to. This is the problem. I think I need to be experimenting, but there needs to be mid steps along the way because if not, it becomes such a big, tricky thing to do that I don't start and don't do things. Yes, part one and part two. Reaction video first. Right. Okay. Yeah. I do feel like I'm behind on the drawings. I'm itchy to do more, but I do want to record them too. So that will be useful. But yeah. So see how it goes. But clearly I'm listening to the songs and I've got my own filter going on about what I hear and what jumps out at me. So anything else, you guys? Thank you for being here. I know I'm a little bit earlier on the Sunday. It really helps because I'm able to do bedtime with my daughter if I'm a bit earlier. And then Beth was saying not for every reaction, just some. Yeah, I think so. I think sometimes I've heard songs and the words are not jumping out at me. And it may well be, that, like I said, that deer in the headlights. It may be just that there's way too much information coming at me that I can't catch the words. But there are some times when I'm hearing things and it relates very much to inner concerns and my own inner chatter. Carol says, I've sent out a few of your cartoon greeting cards and my friends like them. Thank you. Yeah. It's funny because I was looking at doing a few other cartoons and I was looking because the cartoons greeting cards that I've got are happy birthday, and I was looking at doing some sort of get well soon and do different things like that. But it's ever so strange when you have the cartoon and then you add the words get well soon. I don't know, the meaning changes again. And it's like, you know, it's like, who would they send this to? I don't know. So, but yeah, but I don't know. It's all open to. I mean, part of me loves that. Part of me loves that the whole meaning can be changed by having happy birthday on it or knowing your particular relationship with that person, that there's something quirky in a and connection. But yeah, I haven't really uploaded a lot of the Carol's just said my friends are odd anyway. Well, yeah, this is the thing is that obviously I can't anticipate what people's relationships and friendships are like and the in jokes that you have and the sense of humor. So yeah, so I was looking and I was thinking maybe I shouldn't put this on a greeting card. And it's like, you know, what do I know? What do I know? So I'm still kind of I mean, I think I've got about 600 now of the cartoons. So not all of them are on greeting cards. But I'm definitely the plan. I've singled out a few of them specifically. I think it was Ren who said that he felt like he was on a roller coaster, and one of my favorite early cartoons was on a roller coaster, and the girl is saying, "I'm not on a roller coaster. I'm not on a roller coaster," and I thought I could do that as a get well soon card, like being on the roller coaster. Um, so yeah, so as I say, I'm listening all the time. I'm listening to interviews. I'm listening, and I'm putting ideas together. But I haven't necessarily completed those things, and that's part of the reason why the little dartboardy target thing there about focus this time. Get yourself a plan. If you've got an idea, you don't know if it works until you share it with people. So you've got to focus down, share. So there you go. I'm glad they like. it's funny because, as I said, one of the ideas, and this is Carl from the Real Disco Doc as well. He was saying about doing a set of cards with the cartoons, so some sort of communication, and he was saying about maybe in a therapeutic setting, it would be useful as a prompt for communication. So, I think what I'm going to do is I have the book Happy Speaking, and there's about 120 cartoons in here. So just trying to think what I can show you. These are all quite recent ones. I think that the lights, I would show you, but I think the lights bounce it back. Yeah, the lights bounce it back. But there's a good 120. So these cartoons have already been singled out and chosen. And I thought, well, I could do some cards with those, not greeting cards like the card cards. So that's a project for this year. Maybe I should start getting on with some of the projects. But yeah, there's still a lot of data collecting to do, isn't there? There's still a lot of, are people interested in this? Do I enjoy making this? And figuring it out. So yeah, any other questions? Any questions? Any suggestions? I have reached out. I was told to reach out to some different therapists about the cartoons and different communications. And I've reached out to several charities as well, particularly when they talk about mental health and they're encouraging people to speak, and particularly about younger people to speak. I was thinking maybe these would be a good way to start a conversation, and that people could quite easily look through these cartoons and they either relate to it or they don't. Um, and part of me, when I was it's funnily enough, just today I was thinking ahead to this year, and I was thinking, what would be fun rather than I know what I'm doing for the YouTube channel in terms of the plans for the next few months, but what would be fun? What would be, what would I be really proud that I'd done at the end of the year? And one of the things was maybe to be doing some sort of a speaking or training session relating to the cartoons as communication aids for a charity. But as I say, I'm kind of throwing those ideas out there at the moment and making connections with people. But exploring for the longest time, I don't know whether I've mentioned this to you. For the longest time, it was almost like I'd forgotten, say, how to dream. I don't know if that sounds strange. So much was about being ill and what's possible, and I don't know. And as it wasn't, I didn't feel like I was lifting my eyes and looking up and saying, "What do I dream? What would be amazing?" And I think I kind of got out of that habit. So, taking it a little bit deep for you. Sorry about that. Any other questions? Thank you for chatting with me. It really helps. Any other questions? So, yeah, so even though I started uh, writing out sort of goals and wishes for 2025, it was literally today before I thought, oh, that would be fun and that would be exciting to do. So that first feeling of that would be a dream. That would be, something I'd be really good about. Carol was saying, I need to find myself and my dreams again. Yeah. I think it was more that I was bogged down in the everyday and obviously being ill and what's possible and what's going to happen. But when people were talking about dreams, I was getting a little too bogged down in the practical. So I wasn't saying, I don't know, it felt like, so for example, I love going to workshops and I love going to London and to the theatre, but it wasn't a dream to go and do that because I felt that physically I couldn't. So there was a lot of, I really like this kind of thing, but that's not possible. I like this thing, so there was a lot of kind of these negative follow-up thoughts. It wasn't a dream type of thing. So Beth says, what about creating a card pack with single words on with a little drawing for children to develop individual words or basic sentence speech? I don't know. I've never really seen my audience as being children. Individual words or basic sentence speech? I don't know. I worked with, I think the youngest were probably about 9 or 10. I worked at a school in Kazakhstan for a little while, but it was more about confidence in speaking. And we didn't really do much writing. It was mainly focused on, it was so nerve-wracking for the children there to speak to me as a native English speaker. It was very unusual for them to meet a native English speaker. So we did a lot of singing and things like that to just make them feel that English could be, the speaking side of it, not the learning. I didn't teach English. Other people taught that. So, but that's my only experience working with children. And then Carol was saying, I bet some of your viewers are parents, though. I was wondering that, yes, but I wonder whether the audience is more teenager, parents of teenagers in terms of communication, because certainly the themes that of the cartoons that I have, there's a lot of inner conflict and different things like that. And I could see it would be interesting for a parent to say that they relate to a cartoon, because it's you're not kind of preaching or say read something. You relate to the mood and the tone of something, and whether the child and the parent could connect through that. But thank you for the idea. As I say, I haven't really thought about the. I tell you what, I have done. I illustrated a book for somebody else, and I there was times when I found that quite challenging. There was a lot of cartoons that I'd already drawn, and she said, "I want that one, that one, that one." That was great. And then she said, "Oh, I want one specifically about this subject and specifically." And I found that really, really hard. I think that's got a name for it, hasn't it? When they actually request something specific, and I found that really hard. So I think my initial feeling is if the brief is quite specific, I think that may be harder, but I'm not ruling it out. I have written a children's book, you know that, don't you? I don't know where I've put it now. Oh, have I told you about children's book? Dental Man and the Very Annoying Misunderstanding. You see, I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with misunderstandings. So I did do a children's book. One Christmas, um, somebody was talking about gentlemen, and I misheard them and heard gentleman. So I thought, "Ooh, I'll do that as a book." And so these are kind of my cartoons, but a little bit different. It's not the girl in the red dress. And I thought, how long could it take? It's going to be really quick to do a children's book. And then I realized how many. So I'm just trying to see if there's a picture of my daughter in here. I did. I think I encouraged her. I don't know if you can see. Can you see? There's oh, am I going the wrong way? The children. I'm going the wrong way. My daughter's black. My daughter's from Ethiopia, and her best friend is a redhead. So I put them in the book as well. So yeah, so that was an experience. So I've done a children's story. As I say, I'm just experimenting. I like that you're giving me ideas though. I do. I don't know whether I'm reading too much into this, but I do feel like you want me to succeed. And that is really nice. That's like, come on, Joe. Keep trying different things. So, because I think that's the whole point. This is the whole thing, isn't it? It's that I've been trying to analyze and think my way through this of, is it possible for me to have this kind of creator life? And it's like, unfortunately, you have to make something, share it, make something, share it. And, you know, and I would like to avoid that. I'd like to make sure it's right and perfect and everything's great and can't be criticized, and then share it and know that you want it and then share it. Um, Fortunately, oh, my ears ringing a little bit. Fortunately, with the books, it was fun to write different things. So Beth was saying, "That's great, love it." And Carol was saying, "I do want you to succeed." Yeah. I That's the feeling that you give me. So, if that's correct, that is lovely. That is the feeling that I get. And I think that's why when we were talking about metrics earlier, yes, I really want the subscribers and, the viewing hours and different things, but there's something about the comments that means a lot to me in terms of the encouragement and say, "Keep going." And so Tone Deaf was saying you would be great blogging. I feel like I'm kind of blogging a little bit, and I'm kind of blogging a bit because I'm doing the dailies and saying this is what I've done today, but I'm not following me around on camera. In fact, In fact, we were supposed to be doing I've got a drone, never used it, had it as a Christmas present, and that's one of my experiments is that I need to be out of the house filming, and we're gonna get the drone around me. I'm I don't feel comfortable being on camera and walking around, but in my 100 squares, I think you know about this. Is that too much? Yeah. It was kind of there was 100 days left of the 1-year challenge. Um, I know Mamie said keep going after 1 year. At the moment, I'm thinking push myself for this last 100 days, keep trying new things. One of them is gonna be being outdoors. Another one is kind of get the drone going and seeing what I can create. Ah, dear me. Beth was saying, "You seem like you focus on perfectionism a little bit." You see, what's interesting is in my head, I don't think of myself as a perfectionist, but I am wanting to do the right thing. So I think that's, I don't want to make things that nobody's interested in. It's like puts them to sleep. So I think that classes as perfectionism, but as I say, in my own head, it was, oh, if I knew what they wanted. But what I found from this is several years ago before I was ill, people would say what they wanted, and then I would make that and to solve a particular problem, but it didn't work as a business. So so I think it has to come from me. This is why it's much more of a self-expression. What things do I want to make? What things do I want to create? And see what happens from there. And also, one of the things I've noticed, which I think I've mentioned to you before, is who am I attracted to as artists? Because I was watching interviews with a few interviews with David Bowie. I've obviously been interested in following Ren. There are other artists, and I've started looking at Frida Kahlo. So who am I attracted to? These are people that didn't say to the audience, "What do you want?" and I'll make it for you. These are people that said, "This is what I want to say. This is in me," and they also got inspiration from other people, and then they wanted to make something. So I think it's really I find it interesting who I'm attracted to and the groups that I want to know more about and know the story behind them. It's all right. Anyway, I'm just reading some of these. Carol was saying agreed. Tone Deaf says, just my least favorite word in the whole world. Just push record and then edit and do a voiceover. Yeah, yeah. I I'm not particularly as I say comfortable. When I'm out, I have a little mobility scooter and I am embarrassed about it. Um and I part of me was wanting to do kind of make fun of it and say it's like a bit not Dr. Nefario, like with the minions and stuff. Um, but I'm not sure making fun of it is the way I want to go. I'm clearly awkward and feeling uncomfortable about it. There are also benches and seats nearby to me that I can get to. So it could just be that the first time you see me is just with the forest behind me because I live near a forestry centre. Ah, dear me. But as I say, I'm trying to be who I am, but there are obviously tender spots where I'm like, I'm not sure I'm comfortable. I think some of the being ill and some of the things, I don't know. I know it's part of my story, but I am uncomfortable sharing about it. So anyway, Tundev says, so side project. I'm working on a 3-month journey back to my girls, and it's going to be a vlog I share once I get home and settled. But your thoughts are just as important. People love vlogs. Yeah. As I say, I feel like the daily videos have kind of turned into that a little bit. I really wanted them to. So I've just noticed Tone Dev saying sorry and then like doing two hands emoji because he used the word just. Just push record. Just do it. It's easy peasy. So so yeah, people is you're saying people love blogs. I think the daily videos have kind of become blog like. I know that there was a few times when I hesitated about how honest I should be because I wanted them to be kind of uplifting. I wanted them to encourage if somebody was watching those some flashing up on my screen. If somebody was watching the videos, I wanted them to feel like, hey, yeah, I could hit record. I could just hit record and make a video. And so obviously if I was upset or I'd had a really tough day, I didn't necessarily want to share that. But at the same time, I don't want somebody having a tough day doing if they do a project like this and they're creating and sharing their work and they have a tough day, I don't want them to think, oh, I'm the only person that has a tough day. So I kind of have to share that. So anyway, Tone Deaf says, never be embarrassed for being you, still have a story. Yeah. Beth was saying, you should, like Jessie suggested, make work that pleases you. If you make things you enjoy, your enthusiasm will rub off on others. Making content just to please others can create issues for yourself. Beth, but this is exactly what I'm saying about the artists that I'm following. The artists I'm following say exactly that. Like, when you talk about the David Bowie quotes and different things. Um, and I've been watching a few videos on a channel called Vice, and they talk about these big hit songs and how they got to be made. And basically, it, it most of them, it's amazing that they got made and that they ever became a hit song. It was all these twists and turns in the story. Um, and they made 30 and then this one song wasn't supposed to be released, but then it accidentally got released. And stories like that. And I found that really encouraging that the artists themselves and the professionals that are doing these songs, that are creating these songs, they don't know what's going to take off either. So the fact that I don't know what's going to hit, I made the video saying I watch rabbit hole reaction videos. I was embarrassed to make it. And that's the video that gets more views than anything else. It's quite amazing, really. Oh, and then in terms of the book that I wrote in one weekend is the book that sells the most. Who'd have guessed? So yeah, so yes, I agree with your comment about that it needs to come from me. And I think that I'm actually very deliberately and quite literally telling myself that I'm watching things and I'm saying, Joe, it's about your self-expression. What do you want to make? So although I am looking at the metrics, I think that that's a part of the story and that I need to have some feedback. I'm also taking time to say, and what do I want to make? And I still really like the cartoons. I don't know how things fit in, but that feels important to me. So there you go. I'm curious though. I don't know if Tondef is still here. Are you going to be sharing? You said you're going to be going back to the girls and then you share it afterwards. Are you going to be using the same channel and just say this is one particular project and sort of block it off? I'm curious how you do that. Carol was saying, I've always wondered how adaptive it is in the UK to get around on a scooter. I cancelled my UK trip to visit my friends because I can't do all that walking. Yeah. You see, my mobility, I'm having a conversation about mobility scooters. I bought mine, very much hoping that it was to see me over a few months and that I would be great again. I should have done more research about things like that. and the battery power isn't great on mine, and the wheels are too small to be really good about getting up and down curbs. I can get around the village that I live, and I can comfortably get somewhere and then get home again. But I went to Spain and I never took it with me. I took the wheelchair with me. Uh, so Tone Deaf says, you being out and about and doing what you can is inspiration to others. Sharing is caring. And it's still your story. Yeah. The funny thing is, I don't want this to be my story. Does that make sense? Um, I remember early days of my marriage, we were having different fertility problems, and I remember thinking that I don't want this to be my story. The story of, oh, well, she really tried to have a child and it didn't happen, and that's kind of how I feel. I I don't know. Is that denial? I still feel like I'm not comfortable that this is my story. Um, in terms of the different health things. But I think everybody's got some reason, certainly in terms of being creative and sharing their work and different things like that. My story is I have different health and energy limitations, but I think loads of people can relate to having some limitations, whether it's full-time work or something else. So Carol was saying, I refuse to let my disability define me. Yeah. It's a weird one. It's a weird one because it's kind of it's there, it's kind of I don't know, is elephant in the room, is that the right phrase? It's there, it exists. If I start showing me outside, I as I say, I could be sitting down outside, but if I show me walking, I'm gonna have to show what the situation is. Um, and part of me wants to be comfortable doing that. Um, but as I say, if I woke up tomorrow and everything was great and I was healthy and strong again, I would be incredibly happy about that. So as I say, maybe I just haven't quite accepted things yet. I really don't want that to be my story, but it kind of is at the moment. I tend to say I've got the diagnosis of chronic fatigue rather than I have chronic fatigue. And just for me, just for the moment, I think it's also because I have very little confidence in the medical profession in terms of diagnosis and stuff. But anyway, I digress. Let me see what's happening here. Oh, we've gone over the hour. Tone Deaf says, I've had 3 neck surgeries from combat environments, but I certainly had to tell myself I can't change it. It's just part of my story, not the whole story. Yeah, I think this is the thing is that I wasn't comfortable doing the positive thinking and everything. And also in terms of if people ask me why I'm doing something a certain way, I'm not trying to get sympathy votes, but this whatever is going on at the moment is the reason why I'm doing things a certain way. Yeah. So the reason I'm keeping going with the project, even though I've got difficult days, is I don't know what the alternative is. The alternative is not go get a job and be useful somewhere else. This is okay. I'm limited for what I can do. I need the flexibility. I need to work for myself. What's possible? Ah, dear me. It's all good fun, isn't it? Beth says, I can tell you don't want your CFS to be your story, but it is. And you should be like Ren and embrace it and not allow it to embarrass you mentally. Yeah, I think it's fairly obvious why I was so attracted to Ren's story, but it was also that he was creating and he's creating at a really high standard and he's being completely open about his story and also about the fact that he can't tour and that there are a lot of unknowns. Um, so yeah, but as I say, this is what I said earlier. It's interesting to me who I'm attracted to as artists and the stories that they tell and their particular story because clearly there's a part of me that says I want to go that way. That's what I'm aspiring to. I want to create something and and which is not reliant on me suddenly miracle cure. If I continue to be ill, that's okay. I still can go and create and do things. You are here and resilient. That's what matters. So Carol says, not saying you have to film yourself out and about. Here in the US, we're more scooter wheelchair friendly in most places. Yeah. Best as I say this to you as someone who has CFS. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm trying to be open, but I know I've got a sensitive spot about being seen out and on the moped because I know not the moped, the mobility scooter thing. I know part of me was saying, "Oh, it's kind of funny." I could make a joke about going really slowly past, but I don't know whether I'm mocking myself and whether that feels at the moment, that feels wrong. I haven't quite come to terms with it, but I definitely can do the drone shot. I can do the me sitting outside, and then, like you say, maybe I do need to figure out a way to be explaining my current situation a little bit more clearly. But I don't wanna make it really heavy, but I don't wanna make fun of myself either or anybody else that's ill. So, oh my goodness. So there you go. It's been really interesting. As soon as I, started talking about Ren, and then people were saying things in the comments, it's quite clear to me that yes, there are people that have different health challenges, but there's also people working multiple jobs and then looking after parents and then doing other things like that. So yeah. Oh dear. So tone deaf says it's a small group, so I'll share here. Do you not want me to mention your name? I'm starting to overheat again. Sometimes when I talk about symptoms and stuff, then I find myself getting a bit stressy about it. But there you go. It's all good fun. I'm making light of it again, aren't I? The good thing is by seeing Ren and creating and seeing all of this, I've written a couple of books. I've done a load of videos. I've close to 1,000 subscribers. So um who knows what's possible and different things. And I quite deliberately said like, okay, no makeup, I can't do my hair and different things. I streamlined my life and any work that I do. So So Beth was saying I was talking more generally about not about the scooter in particular. Everyone has something. Yeah, but that said, that's what I have seen. Um yeah, I think the scooter, it just for some reason it feels particularly sensitive, but I don't know why. And interestingly, I was worried that my daughter would be embarrassed of being with me. And the only thing she wants is that she wants to go. She wants to play on it too. And then when she saw her friends, she was like, "Hey, look at me. I can play on this too." So I said, "Are you embarrassed?" And she's like, "No, no, no. I just want to be able to play on it." So it turned out for saying, "Oh, I don't know whether I should have said your name. I was a special ops for 7 years. That story is still meant to be told, and this will be a heavy story to get off my chest, but it's needed." Yeah, yeah. I think you're exploring different things with the poetry, and I know from when we chatted before that there's stories that I don't know about you. Um, I don't know when you're. I don't know. I think there's a big difference between getting a story off your chest and then having it as public as YouTube and stuff, and that you can do things in stages and stuff. But I suspect that the little interactions that I've had with you in terms of your creativity, I suspect there's something that wants to be expressed in that creative way when it's ready. Maybe you need to be home with your girls first. Carol was saying, I have scoliosis and degenerative disc, some sort of pain all the time, but I'm still here. And supporting me. Yay. Beth was saying, I hope your surgeries have helped you. Love that you write poetry too. Yeah. I love that he writes poetry, but I love that he's sharing it too. And um I don't remember who I was talking about this to. Is that I heard somebody talking about, they were talking about kind of olden days, like olden days, where people, there were no record players, so somebody in the family played an instrument, and then somebody in the family would sew and make things, and somebody would do, all these things that we would do creatively, and yet now it's much more expected that we watch somebody do that. So my granddad used to play the piano in a pub. He used to couldn't read music, never did anything like that. But in those days, a long time ago, um, used to play in the pubs and stuff, and there was no music. It's a very long time ago. My granddad uh, was born 1897, so he was old when my dad was born, and then so really old. He was in the First World War. So okay, now I can see there's a couple more comments. So I'm going to read them, but then I'm going to disappear because I'm going to do no nights for my daughter. Thank you for being here. So Tando says, you can't tell, but I have little feeling on my right side, but it is part of who I am, and it does ail me from time to time. But what can I do? I try to enjoy freely. Yeah. It's interesting when you start talking about health, things that you never thought. I knew that Turndev had problems with the neck and that he'd had different surgeries, but I had no idea that there was different problems in terms of feeling on the right side. But we don't do we and we have chatted, and I've interviewed him, and we have chatted in the comments, and he's seen me crying on videos and asked me how I am, and so there's just we're all so rich and complex that we're not going to know everything about each other. Um, I think it's really great that that people are sharing, and thank you for being here and for sharing and for encouraging me and giving me ideas and pushing me to try new things, and supporting me, not just in the comments but also behind the scenes. So look, guys, it's been 1 hour 17. Tone says it's because we need to care about others. Connection. Yeah. As I say, that's why I think maybe in terms of metrics, what I need to be focusing on is the comments. That's what I really like. And Beth is saying it's because we know you can do it. Thank you. I just, as I say, I literally feel like I need to lift my eyes up a little bit. I don't know if that makes sense to you. I feel like I've been looking down and doing what needs to be done, and I haven't looked up and thought what's possible. And so it's lovely to think that you think I can do it, but I don't know what do it is. I've got to still figure that out. Um, but it is really helping. It is really helping doing this, and feeling that there's real people interacting with me, and it's not just sort of me imagining, oh, people that would like the video would say this. It's like, no, real people say things like this. So, but there you go. Anyway, yes, yes. Sometimes when I'm nervous, I go like that. You're gonna see this now. If I'm in an interview and I'm starting to feel really nervous, you're gonna see me go like that. I've just told you my tell. Am I going red? I can feel myself blushing. I've told you my tell. Oh dear, Beth says maybe you've been sheltering a little. Time to come out of your shell. Oh, oh, Beth, what an image! I've got to draw that. So maybe I need to come out of my shell. I'm not sure I can do. I can picture. Isn't there like some statue of a lady coming out of a shell and she's trying to look all gorgeous? I'm not sure I can draw it. It might not look like that, but that when you see one of my next cartoons of somebody coming out of a shell, you'll realize that I was thinking about your comment. So thank you. I shall definitely be drawing that coming out of a shell. Ah, dear me. Anyway, thank you guys. Um, I shall see you when I see you in the comments, and then I'll be doing a live again if you're around again for next Sunday. Take care. Bye.